My name is Sophia. I'm 32, and, until recently, I thought I was living the dream, a cozy suburban life with my husband, Matthew. Our whirlwind romance had been the stuff of fairy tales. I still remember our first date as if it were yesterday. "You're different from anyone I've ever met," Matthew said, his eyes sparkling with sincerity. "Well, I hope that's a good thing," I replied, blushing. Fast forward 3 years, and we were happily married, settled into our little slice of paradise. Everything seemed perfect, until it wasn't. It started with small things, feeling tired all the time, dizzy spells hitting me out of nowhere. At first, I brushed it off. Probably just stress, I told Matthew. But then I began losing weight, and not in a good way. My clothes hung off me like they belonged to someone else. I could see the concern etched on Matthew's face. "Babe, maybe we should see a doctor," he suggested one morning as I struggled to get out of bed. Too exhausted to argue, I nodded. What followed was a frustrating parade of doctor's appointments. Each visit left me with the same empty reassurance. "Mrs. Thompson, all your tests are normal." Matthew was by my side through every step, holding my hand and offering comforting words. "We'll figure this out," he said. Then came dinner at Matthew's parents' house, a gathering I had been dreading. Harper, his picture-perfect mother, greeted us at the door, her scrutinizing eyes scanning me. "Sophia, dear," she cooed, "you're looking thin." "Just under the weather," I replied with a forced smile. George, Matthew's father, barely glanced up from his phone. "Hope it's nothing serious," he muttered. Amelia, Matthew's younger sister, was the only one who seemed genuinely concerned. "Have you seen a specialist?" she asked over dessert. I nodded, pushing food around my plate. "Several. But no one can figure it out." That's when I noticed it, a fleeting glance between Matthew and his family. The atmosphere shifted, tension thick and oppressive. Harper's saccharine voice broke the silence. "I'm sure it's nothing a little diet and exercise can't fix," she chirped. "Have you tried yoga, dear?" I bit my tongue, resisting the urge to snap back. Matthew squeezed my hand under the table, but it no longer felt reassuring. On the drive home, I stared out the window, unable to shake the feeling that something was wrong. "You okay?" Matthew asked, his eyes fixed on the road. "Just tired," I lied. The days dragged on, and my health continued to decline. I spent most of my time in bed, the walls of our home feeling more like a prison. Matthew's absences grew longer and more frequent. "Work's running late," he'd say, or "Mom needs help with something." Too drained to argue, I let it slide. One afternoon, Harper showed up unannounced, her presence suffocating. "Sophia, dear," she said, her tone sweet yet cutting, "don't you think it's time to pull yourself together?" "Excuse me?" I asked, stunned. "Well," she continued, examining her manicure, "this illness of yours. It seems a bit convenient, doesn't it?" My jaw dropped. "Are you suggesting I'm faking it?" Harper shrugged, a sly smile playing on her lips. "If the shoe fits." After she left, I lay in bed fuming. Then I heard Matthew downstairs, his voice low and angry. "I can't keep doing this," he hissed. "She's always sick. It's becoming such a burden." My heart shattered. Was I nothing more than a burden now? That evening, Hannah, my kind neighbor, knocked on my door. "I thought you could use some company," she said, holding up a bag of groceries. Hannah quickly became my lifeline, helping with errands and keeping me company. One day, she brought up her brother. "Anthony's a toxicologist," she said. "Maybe he could take a look at your case." Dr. Anthony Chen was unlike any doctor I'd met. He listened intently, his kind eyes serious. "Sophia," he said after reviewing my symptoms, "I'd like to run some comprehensive tests. I have a suspicion." Days later, his office called with the results. Hannah drove me there, holding my hand as I sat on edge. When Dr. Chen walked in, his face was grim. "Sophia," he began, "your tests show high levels of arsenic in your system." The words didn't register at first. "Arsenic? But how?" Dr. Chen's voice softened. "It appears you've been systematically poisoned." The floor seemed to vanish beneath me. Poisoned? By who? Suddenly, it all clicked. The tension at family dinners, Matthew's growing distance, his family's behavior, the illness that had stolen my life. The perfect husband, the perfect life. It had all been a lie. As Hannah hugged me, trying to offer comfort, I felt something shift inside. The shock and pain were still there, but beneath them, a spark of anger ignited. Someone had done this to me, and I wasn't going to sit idly by anymore. The truth hit me like a ton of bricks. I had to fight back. With newfound determination, I began searching the house while Matthew was away. "There's got to be something," I muttered, rifling through drawers and cabinets. My search led me to his workshop in the garage. Hidden behind old paint cans, I found it, a stash of arsenic-based pesticides. My hands shook as I picked up one of the bottles. This can't be happening. I called Hannah, my voice trembling. "I need your help." Together we set up hidden cameras around the house. Hannah showed me how to access the feeds on my phone. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, worry etched on her face. I nodded, grimly resolute. I need to know the truth. Days passed as I watched Matthew's every move. Then, one evening, I saw it. He was in the kitchen, carefully measuring something from a small vial into my evening tea. My heart sank. My world shattered. That night, I confronted him, my phone secretly recording in my pocket. "Matthew," I began, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "What have you been putting in my food?" He froze, his eyes wide. "What are you talking about?" "Don't lie to me," I said firmly. "I know about the arsenic." His face crumpled, and he fell to his knees, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. They made me do it." "Who? Your family?" I spat, disgusted. "So you decided to poison me." "It wasn't supposed to be like this," he blubbered. "We were just going to make you look unstable. Then I'd divorce you, and no one would question it." I took a step back, repulsed. "You're all monsters." Grabbing my pre-packed bag, I fled to Hannah's house. She hugged me tightly as I broke down. "We've got the evidence now," she reassured me. "They can't hurt you anymore." But Matthew's family wasn't done. The next day, my phone blew up with messages. Mutual friends bombarded me with screenshots of social media posts. Matthew's family had launched a full-scale smear campaign. "Sophia has always been unstable," Harper wrote in a widely shared post. "We tried to help her, but she refused treatment and ran away. We're all still worried." I felt like I was going to be sick. How can they do this? "They won't get away with it," Hannah said fiercely, squeezing my hand. "We'll fight back. We have the truth on our side." My resolve hardened. They messed with the wrong woman. Months passed as I slowly began to rebuild my life. Hannah's spare room became my sanctuary, a place to heal. With the fog of illness lifting, I discovered a strength I never knew I had. "You're looking better every day," Hannah remarked one morning. I smiled, the feeling genuine for the first time in ages. "I feel better. I feel like me again." With my newfound energy, I sought out opportunities to move forward. At the local community center, I found purpose. They were hiring, and during my interview, something clicked. "We'd love to have you on board," the director said, shaking my hand. "Your experience could really help our abuse survivors." It felt right, using my pain to help others. There was still unfinished business. One evening, Dr. Chen arrived at Hannah's house, a determined look in his eyes. "Sophia, I've been thinking," he began. "That pesticide Matthew used, it's illegal. If George's company has been using it." I caught on quickly. We could report them to the EPA. The anonymous tip set off a domino effect. Within weeks, the news broke of a massive investigation into George's company. Environmental violations on an unprecedented scale. The newscaster reported, "CEO George Thompson has been arrested." Hannah and I sat in stunned silence as the broadcast detailed the company's downfall. Frozen assets, ruined reputations, and mounting legal charges. "They're finally getting what they deserve," Hannah said softly. I nodded, a mix of emotions swirling inside me, relief, closure, and something I couldn't quite name. As days passed, more news trickled in. Matthew, now broke and desperate, had turned to gambling. "He owes money to some dangerous people," a mutual friend confided. "It's not looking good." Then came word about Harper. A stress-induced stroke had landed her in the hospital. When I heard the news, I thought I'd feel vindicated. Instead, I felt nothing. They were reaping what they had sown, and for once, I didn't have to lift a finger. One day, my phone buzzed with an unexpected name, Amelia. "Sophia." Her voice cracked on the other end. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea what they were doing. Can we talk?" I took a deep breath, steadying myself. Amelia, I appreciate the apology, but I can't let any of you back into my life. I hope you understand. There was a pause. I do, she said quietly. Take care, Sophia. A week later, the final blow came. Matthew had been hospitalized after a random attack. No one believed it was random. Probably those loan sharks, Hannah mused. Karma said, well, you know. I replied with a faint nod. The chapter of my life with Matthew and his family was finally closed. A year later, I stood before a group of women at the domestic abuse shelter, my voice steady and strong. I know it feels hopeless now, I said, meeting their eyes. But you're stronger than you know. You can rebuild. You can thrive. As I spoke, I saw flickers of hope in their faces, some tearful, others determined. It hit me then. The Sophia who had lived in that perfect illusion was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, wiser, and fiercely committed to helping others find their way out of the darkness. Remember, I said, my voice filled with conviction, your story doesn't end with them. It begins when you choose yourself. As the session ended, the women filed out. Some paused to hug me, others whispered their thanks. A sense of peace washed over me. The road had been long and painful, but I had made it. Now I was helping others find their way too. Now I ask you, if you were in Sophia's position, would you have accepted Amelia's apology and attempt at reconciliation? Or do you think Sophia made the right choice in cutting off all contact with Matthew's family, even those who claimed ignorance?